I'm very excited to have this conversation with three people who truly inspire me. So please welcome Kenneth, Amanda, and Catie Cole. Kenneth is an American designer, social activist, and visionary who believes business and philanthropy are interdependent. Over 35 years, he's leveraged his passion and unique brand platform, seeking to make a meaningful impact on people's wardrobes and in communities in need. On World AIDS Day in 2004, he became chairman of the board of AMFAR, serving in that position for 14 years, truly making a change in the way that the world saw AIDS and making a commitment to making AIDS history. Now he is founder and chairman of the Mental Health Coalition, which you've heard about for the last few weeks as they've been celebrated across media platforms and really unleash a movement. He's joined by Amanda and Catie, his two brilliant daughters. Amanda is the social impact strategist and co-founder of the Mental Health Coalition, and Catie is the CTO and content director of their latest campaign, How Are You Really? So thank you so much for all you've done on behalf of humanity in this moment and for bringing mental health out of the shadows. I'd love to ask you, why mental health? What is the Mental Health Coalition? How did you get started?
Thank you, Rachel. First of all, I have to commend NEXUS because when one thinks of social innovation, I'm not sure the first place they go is public health. And in this time and place, it's probably the most important place to go, I think. And it is part of every narrative. And it's through the lens that we look at almost everything today. First COVID, and more recently, the issues around Black Lives Matter. So thank you for that. Thank you for thinking of us. Thank you for including us. And I also have to give absolute credit for most of this to the people, the women on my right and left, because and they have played a critical role in bringing this to life and initiating it on one hand, and then bringing it to life. So I spent a lot of years, to your point, in working in HIV. It became clear. I've since learned that 1 in 200 people today still today live with HIV. 1 in 4 live with mental health conditions. We think it's 4 in 4 because if it isn't you, it's someone you love, somebody in the community, somebody in the workplace. We're all living with it, and we're all subject to it on multiple levels. And it's also believed that the stigma around mental health is as bad today as it was with HIV 20 years ago. So with 2/3 of the people with mental health conditions apparently living in the shadows. So one says that if you could address that and change the narrative, ultimately change culture, rather ambitious, needless to say, but not crazy if you think about it, if you break it down, what the steps to do that, then it's an ambitious task to take on. Can we get there? Who knows? But certainly a worthy task to aspire to, especially with the support of these two women in my life. So I spoke to several different, trying to understand the dynamics of mental health, and I spoke to several different psychiatrists and public health people, and no two of them had the same definition of depression, for example. So, and yet everybody's defined and diminished by this vocabulary. So one says change the vocabulary, change the narrative, and ultimately rebrand mental health, and that's the business I'm in. That's what I do. It's not so complicated, and I'm in the perception business. That's what the fashion business is in many ways. But the thing is, though, I can't come out with it. Everybody agrees, by the way, but you can't have 20 people all agree and then 20 people come out with 20 alternatives, and you don't get any closer. Arguably, you get even further away. So the goal is to align everybody. So we in turn have built this coalition of most of the largest, if not all, mental health service providers in this country, and everybody comes together, aligns, holds hands, agrees to kind of commit to a consistent path to realizing this goal. And there is a pervasive urgency right now in light of what we're going through, and many people feel as bad as COVID is what's going to happen after COVID with the prevailing impact on mental health. It is arguably going to be so much more devastating to our communities than anybody even imagines. So that's the foundation for it.
It's exactly right. And you spoke about rebranding. And that's what's so important right now. And it needs to happen because there's a truly devastating stigma around mental health conditions. Amanda, can you take us a bit more into how you got to this place? Why mental health? How did we get started?
So about 4 or 5 years ago at Kenneth Cole, we knew we needed to talk about what was not being talked about, which was the stigma around mental health. Personally, in our family, it had come to the table. I had been really working to figure out how to communicate and tell my story in a way that that others in my family could understand, and we realized that we needed to do that within the organization if we wanted to take a stand externally, and if we wanted to make any change in our world and use our brand platform, we needed to make sure that we are walking the walk. So to do that, we enlisted the help of NAMI, and we committed to becoming a stigma-free workplace. So that meant we looked at what our culture was and what made up culture. And that was our policies and our practices. And in the practice, it was how we show up and how we treat each other. So we began socializing this concept of bringing your whole self to work. If stigma exists because we don't feel safe or permission to be our full selves, then we needed to create an environment where that was not only allowed but encouraged. So it took about 2 years of really storytelling, of bringing people, experts in the field, into the company, speaking, giving, and opening dialogue for us to internally, as a community, begin to tell our own stories. And slowly but surely, we have a whole company that is enthusiastic and excited and believes wholeheartedly that this is the most important thing that we can stand for. So it was about walking the walk. It was about bringing our whole selves to work and bringing our whole stories to work. And to that point, storytelling is what we see as the most effective, sort of solution to being able to change what's possible.
It's amazing. Thank you so much also for your bravery, because in order to break stigma, you have to start with yourself and you have to be brave and model the way. And that's what you're doing. And the coalition recently launched just on May 15th this new initiative called How Are You Really, which speaks to the power of narrative storytelling, just like you said. Catie, you have a strong role in How Are You Really? Can you take us through the concept behind it?
Yeah, for sure. So as Amanda said, we think that storytelling is the way to destigmatize mental health, because in addition to other resources and this amazing coalition and collective of organizations that the Mental Health Coalition has assembled here, we feel that How Are You Really provides a online platform and space for people to really tell their stories that speak directly against the stigma that's prevalent around specific conditions and mental health more generally. So we launched the How Are You Really platform on May 15th alongside the Mental Health Coalition. And we launched it through a hashtag How Are You Really challenge on social media, where we encouraged individuals to share their own stories around how they're really feeling, recognizing that we are all going through something right now and having a little bit of a shared experience. And this is a moment for us to reflect, connect online amidst this virtual distant reality, and really give them a platform to both share how they're feeling right now, but also their own experiences with mental health, and really start that dialogue. So we invited people to share and to nominate others to do the same, to answer the question that people are avoiding responding to honestly every single day. And so we've created a platform. It's online at howareyourreally.org. And through that platform, people are able to go on to share their story. And the ultimate goal of this space is to create a place that raises the voices of those whose voices are not often told, whose voices are not often heard. So through this, I know right now, especially, we could use what's going on in the world around race. We are looking to really use what we've created to amplify the stories of individuals whose voices may not be heard. We're committing to using the platform in this way. And while right now we're really at the beginning stages and we're looking to building out the technology, I think we are still able to use that to support these individuals and their stories and work together to really create this narrative.
It's a really, really beautiful moment that you've given people a space, a safe space to have conversations. So you spoke to it. This is a week when people are having a lot of feelings that are new and that are big. What are you seeing in the How Are You Really platform that people are latching onto in this safe space that you've created?
I think it's the fact that, yes, it is a safe space. And to speak briefly to the mechanisms that we've incorporated in order to create that element of safety, recognizing that social media platforms that are existing today are largely a part of the problem when it comes to prevalent mental health issues in today's society. And the fact that people are relying on those hits of dopamine that they get through likes and through comments and these forms of engagement. And we are creating a platform where we have what we're referring to as impact reactions, which are the ability to give a virtual hug, to share that you relate, to thank people for sharing their stories. And the fact that hearing others' stories may inspire you to be open, not necessarily publicly if you're not ready to do so, but to call your friend and have that honest conversation too. So we haven't really been a part of this dialogue yet in light of all that's going on right now, but we look forward to becoming a part of it and including those stories and figuring out more ways to support.
I love that. You've modeled by being brave, and I think you'll continue to be brave and create safe space. The other thing you've modeled so incredibly well as a coalition is how do you have a collaborative approach and why that's so valuable during times like this. So, Kenneth, I'd love for you to speak about the importance of a coalition approach and a collaborative approach.
So I don't think you can do this absent of a coalition. I mean, you can have all these well-intended, biggest of hearts, best of intentioned individuals out there and all kind of going down a similar path. But unless they're united in their line, you're going to have 10 different new alternatives and you're not going to have one that people align around. So this concept somehow ensures that. As I said, I believe we can do this together, but only together. So hence the coalition. And everybody accepts that. And, at Amphar, we had set up a group where we started aggregating research and forcing researchers to share their data, which, absent of that collaborative approach to science and to health, I don't think you're going to see the big changes. But, look, a lot of how we were able to put this together, a lot of this Catie made happen. The platform was very much made, it could not have done that had she not did what she did. But that also was aggregating, bringing together all these resources. And then that platform now empowers people and encourages people to be honest and to be vulnerable and or empathetic or anywhere in between. But that emotion is powerful and it's contagious. So, and that is what we hope will happen. And hopefully it's not necessarily challenging, but it keeps going. And we have a lot of people continuing to engage on both of the platforms. So, and we're truly appreciative of that. We actually, we also are bringing the coalition together around various circumstances and events. We had a call just now with all of our members just to talk about how do we address what's happening in the community right now. Everybody's fragile. What's happening with George Floyd is affecting everybody, but disproportionately the Black community. So how do we find that right voice? How do we bring resources to bear? And how do we appropriately support people at this very fragile and difficult time?
And what's so important is that you want to. A lot of people are just standing down, and you're saying we might not have the answers, but we want to figure out how do we do it. And that is very much in line with the leadership we need right now. Let's be students together in figuring this out. So I'd love to know, for all the people who are joining, how do we get involved? How do we engage? The Mental Health Coalition is doing amazing work. How You Really is an incredible campaign. What can we do? What's our call to action?
So I think, well, there's a couple. One is you can engage in social media. I mean, you can tell your story. You can go on to howareyoureally.org, and or you can do or tag us through your traditional Instagram or Twitter and Facebook with hashtags. And we're forming a business coalition shortly of some of the progressive thought leaders in the business space. And the hope is there too, we can come up with a single narrative and best practices. And everybody knows today that mental health is the single biggest form of dilution in the workplace and in our economy overall. And it exponentially impacts all of our social problems. So to the degree we all can embrace it, understand it, to your point, ask the right questions, listen, learn. I think, again, together, as I often say, alone we can go fast, together we can go far. So how do we create that mechanism to do that? So that's one of our next steps.
Catie, Amanda, anything else you want to add?
I think that's it. I think we're really looking forward to letting our partners lead as we have been, and hearing, what the needs are, and rising to meet them. And same thing with driving collective action in the business community.
Everybody's very fragile today, as you know, Rachel. So I do believe if you engage, as Catie was referring to, we all know the science behind storytelling. We're learning about it. She actually knew more than I did. Amanda did as well. So, but it's very powerful. So it's powerful for the teller of the story and also those that engage with it. So I think if people can do that, I mean, this platform is basically out there for people it's a resource for people to use. And we encourage you to do it. And to the degree you can bring your friends and others to it as well too, I think you will have done them a service. So that is what we're doing, and we're focusing on bringing in other communities specifically, but that's where we are right now.
Well, I want to take a moment to thank you, because there are people who, for the first time, find themselves under the same roofs with the rest of their family where they haven't been in a decade. And mental health is a topic that doesn't come up at family dinner tables. And it takes a lot to see, and it's a lot of inspiration to watch how the three of you are breaking down boundaries and having difficult conversations and modeling that for other families. Because I don't think mental health was in the lexicon, Kenneth, when you were in college. I don't think people were talking about it with their friends, and definitely not with their parents. So I love that the three of you are modeling open, honest dialogue around this for other families, and that really you're building this together. And as you said, it wouldn't have happened without Catie and without Amanda. And I love seeing the trifecta of the three of you bringing this out of the shadows and modeling it for other families. So I want to thank you for your bravery and thank you for your example. And we're with you.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
And keep up what you guys are doing. Very impressive. Very much appreciated.
Thank you. And thank you to Zeev and the Social Innovation Summit for making time for a conversation on mental health in the middle of the day on the main stage, and not putting this in a corner where sometimes this topic has been, because it's front and center on everyone's minds and worthy of discussion in the meat of the conversation, not just as a side dish. So thank you.
So like bad as this was now, it is so exponentially greater in the life these days, maybe more than ever in my life, that have we seen people dealing with so much trauma. So I couldn't agree with you more. So thank you for this forum and this opportunity.